Welcome to Creativity-Hive's weekly program. My name is Miriam Haugen. I am part of the Creativity-Hive team, and we help budding videographers achieve massive post-processing skills through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching. Our weekly hangout that you're now a part of brings you people from across the globe working in various parts of the video industry. And we'd like to know if you're with us live, where you are from. So be sure and leave a comment and tell us where you're viewing from. Today we are talking with Jarle Leirpoll. He is from Norway, and Jarle, hello.
Hello.
I have to tell you what Mo gave you a title as the Godfather of Mogurts.
That's not really true, but okay, yeah, I was part of it.
Well, we are going to give you a little intro, though, by playing a show reel. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up right now so people can see a little bit about what you do. Ta-da!
Yeah, well, I have to tell people that's the first time I saw this because it is Mo who made it. So I had no idea what he was going to include there. That's a lot of Norwegian motion graphics templates.
Right. So I always want to know how you got where you're at today. What was your education, and what are the, just how did it all happen?
Well, the only thing I planned actually was the education. So I wanted to get the 2-year education that the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation had. They educated their own technical people at the time. That was 1983. I started. So I did everything I could to get into that training, and I did. And I have no idea why, because there were 900 people who wanted to be there, and they only allowed 20. So I have no idea why I was chosen. But anyway, I was one of the 20 lucky ones. And then I worked in the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation for a few years, 14 years. And then in 1997, I quit that job and started my own company, where I made corporate movies and documentaries, mostly. And then I was asked if I wanted to, teach at some universities and university colleges. And well, I said yes. And then I discovered that there's no book on this in Norwegian. Well, there's one, but that was only about analog video, and I couldn't teach people that. Yeah. So I said that to the people at the schools, and said, "There's no book I can use. I only have English literature here." And they said, "Well, can you write one?" I said, "Well, okay, I can do that." So I wrote a book that was 2002. I self-published a book named "Video in Practice." Well, in Norwegian then, but "Video in Practice." And that became quite a hit. So they wrote about it and gave it a review in some of the all the magazines and everything that's in the business. And Fredrik Johannesson from Adobe Sweden saw that one of the reviews, and he also saw that and he bought the book, and he saw that there were some screenshots from Premiere Pro there, and he is okay. Here's a guy who knows Premiere Pro, and he knows how to explain technical stuff in a easy to understand way. So he contacted me, asked if I wanted to show new features when Adobe issued new software, and that was maybe 18 months apart at the time. And I did it once, and then I said never again, because I got all the software on CD-ROMs, maybe 10 days before I was going to show it all. That was After Effects, Premiere Pro, Audition, and everything, or not Audition at that time, but so yeah, lots of software, and I was supposed to just show how easy it was to use it, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I said never again. And then he said, well, what if you could get access to the software earlier? And then he got me to the beta. So I was a beta tester for Premiere Pro, and then later for After Effects and all the other cool software. And that's how I got into the Adobe fold. And I was a bit like Neil, had a loud voice on the user or the beta forums, complaining about stuff. And they appreciate that, actually. So my honesty was appreciated. And then I wrote the cool stuff in Premiere Pro. When was that, Neil? I think 2014. I'm going to
bring Neil and Mo on here.
Because Neil was correcting all my mistakes in the book, the spelling errors. So I think it was 2014, and I published that. And then 2017, a few years later, the A-Press or Springer publisher, they published a new version, and that's the current version. And because of writing all these books, I get asked to do stuff. So Adobe then asked me to present, on their Adobe Max, and I was asked to present at Adobe Video World and Adobe whatever world. And then at one of these, the Adobe Video World, I was kind of showing the hacks of how you could hack the live text feature in Premiere Pro to send code from Premiere Pro to After Effects. Sorry, and two members of the After Effects team saw that, and that was exactly when they were thinking of modernizing the graphics workflow. And they came out to me after the presentation and said, we need to talk. And then I was an alpha tester for the motion graphics template workflow, the MOGRT workflow. So so very few people who were testing that in the start. And then I got the beta tester, of course. And then it was, the first version was published. And then I said, well, no one knows how to use this. It's complicated stuff. There's JavaScript code and everything involved. So shouldn't you have some kind of user guide for this? And they say, well, yeah, can you write it? And, well, yeah, I can do that. And I did it for way less money than I should have. But, the thing is, when you write books, people know your name. So that means I've been asked to make motion graphics templates for a lot of companies because they know I know this stuff because I wrote the book, right?
Right.
So it's not,
who else are you going to ask?
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of. And these days, I'm in the finishing finishing days actually on an e-learning project for Adobe for system integrators, and so that's going to be out the door in a few days. And I'm also working on a bigger writing project for Adobe that I'm not allowed to speak about. So
cool.
Mostly I do lots of training. I've been doing training all days last week, all days this week, 3 days next week, and then all days the week after, and so on. So that's what I do.
Cool.
Okay, Neil, you've got to show the book. You've got it sitting right there. He's got the cool stuff book anyway. So this is a great book, and look, yeah.
There's over
a few
1,200
notes.
pages in here, and it is packed with the best information on how to do both the best work in Premiere and do it fast. Jarle hates to do anything a second time, so he's all about, if you have ever set up a sequence to do one thing, you need to save that in an organized fashion so that then anytime you ever need that again, you don't have to set up the sequence. You just copy it, you get rid of the media that was on it, plop the new media on, and you're done. And it's all stuff like that. I am in this many times a day. I've been working in Premiere Pro now for, about 8 years, 9 years, and I'm in this thing every time I work in Premiere Pro practically.
Oh, wow.
Endorsement. Go buy the book. Go buy Making Mogert.
You can get it in an ebook, which is what I originally got. But when I was down at the last live Adobe Max down in Los Angeles here year before last, they have what they call a pavilion, which is like the trade show, right? And in it, they had a big section that had all kinds of books and everything. And I was going through there, and I didn't even know you could get this in actual paper, real honest to gosh, like printed book. And so, but I saw it, and I just grabbed it. I did not even look at the price on the back of it, even though it's a massive thing. I didn't even check the price. It's $150. I was going to pay it, And oh man, it is so useful. I have that again on my tablet, and I have it that way, and I use both of them all the time. Good stuff.
So Jarle, you explained what you do, but there's a whole lot more that you do, from what I understand. You teach color correction. You teach how to learn Premiere Pro, After Effects. You also write a ton of scripts, and what's so cool is that you write presets. So what caught my eye was Jarle Leirpoll was on Deadpool. Somebody told me this. I'm like, but I didn't see Jarle's name in the credits, unless they had a CG Jarle Leirpoll and they're dying, behind a mask. Maybe he was a stunt double. So I'm like, I asked the guy, so where was Jarle in this movie? He says, well, he was everywhere, actually. Behind the camera or in front of the camera. So they said, well, he was behind the camera. I said, so he's a DP now as well. No, he's not a DP. So I said, how is Jarle in the movie? The guy says, well, he created stuff for the movie. So you want to tell us a little bit about it? It's quite a fascinating tale, I think. It's really awesome. In fact, I use the thing that you're going to tell me about almost on a daily basis. I just shake it up. That's all. That's a clue I'll give you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have Jarle's presets on my PremierePro.net webpage, and people can download those for free. And the team that were editing the Deadpool movie, they saw that I had a handheld camera preset. And the way I made that was I just filmed, out the window in my apartment and tracked it in After Effects, getting position and rotation keyframes. And then I copied them over Premiere Pro and saved as a preset. Very simple job, actually. So they asked me, can you make more for us? And I said, well, yeah, I can do that. So I spent maybe 1.5 hours, maybe 2, just filming out the window again with, a long lens, a short lens, a heavy camera, a handycam camera, and so on. And I made 7 presets for them. Because they were doing this in After Effects. I think they used Wiggle or something. And that is, doesn't really look organic. It looks CGI kind of, and they also had to render when they did it in After Effects. So now they had drag and drop feature. They just drag the preset on, and they have camera shake on, static footage. So yeah, and then I released those for free when the movie had premiered. So.
And then it also went over to After Effects, and now I see it's in Nuke as well.
Yeah, and I think Sony Vegas too, and and that's other people made those from the ones I had in
From the
Premiere.
ones
So
you made.
that wasn't me.
So that's great. And I think we have a question for Jarle, from Mark.
Okay, on the Avid platform. Well, the difficulty level, it's not really, you can buy the Premiere Bible at apress.com, I guess. That's or you can go to my web page. I saw you got the web, the URL there, and then you can just click on the cover on the book and you'll get it, go to the publisher. Yeah, so what's the difficulty level? The biggest problem when people are transitioning from Avid to Premiere, and I do a lot of training for that kind of people, they try to make Premiere Pro be Avid. That won't happen. It will never be Avid, and it doesn't work the same way, and you can't work the same way. So don't try. So just learn the basics in Premiere Pro. How the audio works. That's very different from Avid. How presets and all the different panels can help you. I would actually recommend getting like a 2 or 3 days training, because you will spend so many weeks not learning it properly instead of just 3 days learning it properly.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
That's great.
That is a typical problem with moving from any one of these programs to the other, whether you're going from Premiere to Resolve, from Resolve to Premiere, Avid to Resolve, is they work differently and you have to get used to it. Premiere is designed to be incredibly customizable. You can create your custom workspaces and save presets in all kinds of places. But it also means that because it's so customizable, they've got so many places that you can save things, you can lose what and forget what you've saved. And Resolve doesn't allow you to customize, and so that's not as handy in some ways. But on the other hand, you don't lose what your workspaces are. And so they all have these things, and you have to learn how to work in each one as a separate app and think differently. It's like learning a new language.
Yeah, I've done. They call it advanced training for really experienced editors at broadcasters that they want to switch from Avid to Premiere Pro, and then they use Premiere Pro for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they complain to their bosses, and then they get training, and that's where I come in, and then I go to them and do the training, and they are, they are wowed by hitting Q and W in Premiere Pro, like the top and tail editing, because they've never seen that. They just never, they don't even accidentally see it, because they switch their keyboard shortcuts to the Avid keyboard shortcuts, and that doesn't have the top and tail editing keyboard shortcuts. So they can't even accidentally.
What Jarle is talking about in Top and Tail or the Q and W is you have the CTI, the blue line, the current, the playhead. At any place in a clip, if you hit Q, it automatically deletes the part of the clip in front of that point and moves the clip and everything behind it up to join with whatever is before it. So it just wipes out that space, and you have a smooth join between clips. W is the tail end of the editing, and you hit W and everything past the playhead on that clip is deleted, and the space is wiped out, and so everything behind it closes up right on it. It's an incredibly fast way. A lot of people, rather than doing a rough cut string out and copy paste from one timeline to another, simply throw everything on a timeline and just go through and do Q and W for their ins and outs, and say it's just much faster.
And what is the learning curve when you get a Final Cut Pro 10 come to you and says, I've installed Premiere, I've loaded it up, but nothing is magnetically attaching itself to itself with the magnetic timeline and the background rendering, especially the background rendering.
Yeah.
And is that a big issue for somebody to get used to in Premiere without that kind of background rendering in place?
I wouldn't say it's a big issue. I tell them that Fun Cut is kind of very drag and drop based, while Premiere Pro is not really. And then when I show people that, okay, you can use tracks in Premiere Pro in this way, and the only thing we don't really have from Final Cut X is those what's it called, auditioning, where you have so that's a very nice feature from Final Cut X that we don't have, and then you don't have spanned markers in the same way that we have in Final Cut X. Other than that, you can do the same things, but what I used to tell people when I do that kind of training is try to hold down Control on the Windows, Command on Mac to before you drag and drop things, and you will get the magnetic timeline. Kind of, it's very similar.
Okay, so we had spoken a little bit off screen earlier about sharing your screens, and we'd love to see a little bit of your Moget stuff, if it's possible.
Well, you made that showreel, so have people. My screen working with the Mogets. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, working with the Mogets, and a lot of people don't understand that Max is coming up. I've done a Moget presentation, so I understand it, but a lot of people just see it and say, "Hey, it's great and it's fantastic," but they don't really understand, what it's about. So maybe a little bit of a demo, if possible.
I can do that. I'm clicking share screen, and somebody has to allow me, I guess.
Right. Well.
So
okay. So usually it pops up, and then there we go. I can add it. Here we go.
So you see my screen? Nice. Yeah. This is just a still image, but I have some motion graphics templates here. Like this is a very simple one. This shows kind of how restricted they can be if you want that. So this is from an insurance company, and you see it's just a name and last name, and then it's the title. So when I click that, you see here that this is the only thing I can change. Okay, so I'll name here. Okay, I'll just type some stupid boss. Okay, and that's the only thing. You can't change the font. You can correct typos though, so that's allowed. But you can't change the font. You can't change the color because this is their red color and this is their font. You can't change it. You can have right or left, but nothing in between. Stuff like that, you can do with motion graphics templates, and it will always look the same. It's always responsive. And also, if the boss has a long name, then that's a longer line. Then that will decide how long this red blob there is. So so it's responsive and very simple to use, right? Then we have others with more possibilities, like this one, and it's a kind of cooler animation. And then again, you can still, of course, change the names, but you can also here you can use drop-down menus or sliders. I find sliders to be quicker when you move around like this. But here are just 10 different colors you can choose from. Those are all in their design manual. So these are the colors that are allowed. You can't change it to anything else than the allowed ones. And then you can change the horizontal and vertical position, and you can change the size a bit. So that's the only thing you can change there. And then we have those, this kind of stuff where it's got some animation. And by the way, when you play this through a few times, they get smoother and smoother. So because they're caching. But anyway, there's if I click on this, you'll see I have some data that I can throw in here, drop a spreadsheet. So let's see if I have something cool here. Okay, I can use this one. So dropping a spreadsheet file, a CSV file there, and that's got some stuff. I don't need that. Maybe I can edit here, as you can see, and then it's all. So all these, the numbers and the names here and everything is taken from the CSV file.
Okay.
So I didn't type anything. That's nice for the user, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of code going on in the background when you do this. I can also use a smaller version and change the look on it and so on. So there's a lot you can do here to customize.
Okay, so you design these on a customized basis for clients who
Yeah.
have specific needs, and these are responsive design types with auto resizing boxes according to maybe the text size and so forth.
Yeah.
And looking at the kind of influx of mortgages at the moment is making a big splash on the market, so to speak. What would you advise a guy that's coming into the market, or some students, or whoever they are? Where would they begin? Because yours is using a ton of expressions in the background and scripting and so forth. And
Yeah.
these are younger guys who haven't learned that yet. How do they get into the more complex stuff like responsive design and
They can do this. Go to premierpro.net/makingmogurts with a hyphen. And then you can download this free ebook, 120 pages. And there's a lot of stuff in there. And you can see these pages. There are some blueprint here. Yeah. That's code. You can copy that from the PDF and paste it into After Effects and pretend you know how to code. So it's kind of easy to get started.
Yeah, Jarle really points out how to build up libraries of code, because you copy code that has been used by other people in Mogurts that you take into After Effects, and you see what code they've got. If they've got something that's really cool and they've used some scripting code in it, you just copy that and make essentially a library for yourself about how to do various things. And then you just, when you want to do that, you just go to your library, copy and paste, and you don't have to know it. You don't have to think about
it. Exactly.
It's all built.
So why write the code from scratch when somebody else has already done that?
So I don't understand Mark's question, but I'm hoping you guys do.
Okay, let's see. Modifying alpha channels. If you mean with the image replacement, or because here's the image replacement Mogurt, and there's a drop image here. Then you can crop them if you want to, and scale and so on, and that will also shrink and expand the alpha channel. So not sure if that's what you mean. So here I want a video here. So I'll let's see. I'll choose that one, and then some other cool images. Not very cool, but okay. And I'll drop these here, and you can see they populate all these images here. And then you can scale and crop and so on here. So this modifies the alpha channel.
Yeah, I think that's what Mark said. That's what he meant, modifying shrinking the alpha channel on the Mogurt, which is fine. Jarle, I see this. Your categories on your website are vast, all the way from After Effects to tech tips to multi-camera to Premiere Pro titles and just a whole lot of stuff. Where do you? I mean, if somebody navigates your site like I did, let's just say I didn't know anything, and I'm looking at maybe doing some stuff with the Premiere Pro titles. How do they go about getting in touch with you, and what do they do? And it's a vast site. It's quite intensive. I'm looking for a way to book something with you. As an example, how would you go about doing it?
You mean if I'm going to make the titles for them, or if there's
no, maybe they want to get you to do some stuff for them. Is it just a simple contact form that they go to?
Well, there's a contact form on this page, I guess. Then as you can see, it's not very well maintained. But yeah, there's a comment section at least. But if you go to About here, you can shoot me an email from there. So.
Okay, so
email. Boom.
With Max looming over the horizon. There's talk of a lot of stuff, lots of stuff we can't speak about. I'm sure you understand that as well. I'm sure you're in the same boat. But where do you see the future of After Effects working with Mogurts inside Premiere Pro. Look, Mogurts inside Premiere Pro are a bit of a cumbersome feature due to the caching and depending on machine spec and so forth. And they've been talking about using the After Effects render engine. But what do you see as the future going forward in order to make this something much more of a pleasurable experience for the end users?
Well, you know this that they're working on multi-frame processing in After Effects now in the beta, and that's going to be ported to the Premiere Pro playback engine for After Effects things, including Mogurts. And that means Mogurts will play a lot better in newer versions of Premiere that's coming.
And do you think that engine will ever be ported over to Premiere itself to play back a whole lot faster?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean as well.
So at least it will be ported, but for now it's slower to render something made in After Effects in Premiere than it is to render it in After Effects. And hopefully,
Neil and I were having a chat yesterday about the virtues of Premiere Pro and how quick the playback is, and I was like, no, Premiere Pro pretty much plays back stuff pretty slowly on the timeline. You have to go to half res and so forth. So I'm wondering if that maybe the Mercury playback engine at some point will have a big revamp.
I don't see that coming right now, but what will happen pretty soon is that the people who write the code, like people like me, write the code for motion graphics templates, we are able now to see how much time each layer takes to render.
Right.
And then we can see, okay, so this is why this is so slow. That effect there on that layer is slowing it down. And then you can try to optimize that and do it some other way or something. But up until now, we had no idea. Why is it slow? It's just slow. But in the After Effects beta, you can actually tell that now. You can see those in milliseconds. How many milliseconds does it take to render this frame and this frame and this frame, and on each layer, on each effect on each layer. And that is fantastic because now I can see, oh, that old Mogurt that I made, I felt it was kind of sluggish, but no wonder this one layer with that strange effect that I put on, I can do something else that looks the same but renders a lot faster.
Yes, I saw it. I've worked with it in the beta. I've looked at it. It's pretty insane. Whoever wrote the code on that, whoever thought up doing that, is actually quite a clever person or team of people, because you can actually drill down to that one specific holdback in your pipeline in terms of speed. So I think that's really, really great. So I'm not sure if Neil has any technical questions, but I have some other questions, but I'm going to leave that for a bit later.
Well, we have a question from Mark again about importing and exporting MXFs.
Well, that's use the media browser and you're good.
So do you want to, say anything about that, Neil? Or?
Well, you can do XDCAM, all different kinds of them, and XAVCs in the MXF Op1A, as it's called, format, and it also picks up some others. So, yeah, it handles most of them, and including up through the 4444 and with alpha. So it should handle pretty much any MXF just fine.
So y'all, your Deadpool presets, right? I want to learn how to make those presets. As an example, how would somebody get involved with you to learn to make those sorts of kind of complex, well, semi-complex presets? Yeah,
well, sometimes I do kind of workshop with people, online or in person. Where I teach, and I've done that with lots of broadcasters, where I go to them and I work with their graphic people, and I teach them how to do this, or we actually do it together. So it's not just training. After the training, they have a graphics package, but they also know how to make new Mogurts themselves instead of having other people do it. But it's JavaScript based. Everything is based on JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, then you're good to go. I didn't know at all, so I had to learn that.
Did you have to start from scratch learning JavaScript?
Yeah, and there's a lot of tutorials on JavaScript on the web because it's used all over the web, for web pages. So there's a lot of info about JavaScript, and you just have to dig into it, I guess. But sorry, it's not Corona. There's some work being done to make the code library easier to use in After Effects. That may help when people are trying to learn this.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing you said. JavaScript, you had to learn it from scratch. I used to lecture it, and I had no idea that was the script behind After Effects. And I said, I'm going to wait until I have a little bit of time to actually dive deep and see how to not break apart After Effects, but dive into the code. Jarle said that to me the last time as well. It's not COVID twice, 3 times on our call. So, with JavaScript, it's not too difficult if you have a little bit of a kind of technical background. You can understand it and how to work it. So essentially, for all the people that are watching out there, if you wanted to learn scripts, if you want to learn scripting, the After Effects script interface window is now a whole lot easier for you, autofills, etc. It's color coded and stuff, so it's a whole lot easier. It's made, and I think they're going to be doing something else at a later point to make it even more accessible to end users, because scripting has opened up a brand new world for an aftermarket market, so to speak. You just see scripts everywhere now, the Movits and packages and Atomex and just a lot of stuff. So I think that's the future of where After Effects actually has opened up, almost opened up the API, you could call it, to the end user. So I think that there's a great amount of potential out there for After Effects right now.
Yeah. So should probably a difference between code in Moguch that can only do what After Effects can do, but scripts can make After Effects do things it can't really do from before. So
yes. So Jarle, knowing that you do all of this stuff, a lot of people had a question, to me anyway, about does Jarle do anything else? Because he seems to be working 24/7. He's always behind his monitor. So what else do you do that doesn't mean you sitting in front of your computer?
I went to the theater yesterday. That's
okay. All right.
That's
and
nice.
Is one of your hobbies?
Nice dinner.
Do you have like any other sort of hobbies beside, or is this pretty much your main passion?
Do you sing? He wants to know if you sing. We got Patrick Palmer to sing for us.
I don't sing. Oh no. And as you can hear, my voice is kind of bad because I had an infection, and not corona, but something else went to my lungs, and it's not really gone yet. No, I like to hike in the mountains and in the woods. That's something I do.
That's your pastime, pretty much.
Yeah, hanging out in a hammock with a glass of wine and a good book. That's not bad.
Well, I hope it's not
Looking out
making
for a lake.
robots or the cool stuff with Premiere Pro. I hope you're reading other books, because Neil has got this book and he still hasn't finished it. He's still busy earmarking page by page by page.
Yeah.
Don't all Norwegians ski?
Sorry, Norwegian. Sorry.
Do you ski?
Do you ski?
Speak?
Ski.
Ski? Oh, skis. Well, yeah, I do in the winter. Cross-country skiing and downhill a little bit. And I do skating on ice whenever there is some nice ice out there that's safe. That's not every year, but some years we get very thick and safe ice, and then I can skate.
Fantastic. Jarle, tell me the next thing I wanted to ask you was your take on the collaborative cloud-based editing. Collaborative workflows right now are a huge thing. Companies are coming out left, right, center. We've been testing for a company, with Adobe, and we've seen some incredible results. What do you feel the future of collaborative, or is the future collaborative workflows?
I think so, yeah. I've used, team projects in After Effects and Premiere Pro, working with some customers where they had like 2 editors and I was a third one, mostly doing the finishing and, making it look and sound good. That is it's a very nice workflow. But it's just file sharing through whatever service you have. But now that you see what Frame.io can do and Lucid Link, don't know if you tried Lucid Link, but that's insane. I have no idea what they're doing, but that is just insane. I was editing 12 cameras, a multicam with 12 cameras, and it never stopped. It just works. I have no idea how that works.
Well,
because
Neil will tell you. Neil's dying to tell you this.
Mo and I have done a lot of stuff with Lucid Link. Adobe and Lucid Link cooperated to set us up in that, and we're very, very appreciative of that. But we've done things where we've been on the phone with WhatsApp, and Mo's in Cape Town, South Africa. I'm in a small town in Western Oregon near the Pacific Ocean. We are about as far apart on the planet as you can get. And Mo will say, okay, I'm dragging a folder of media to our Lucid Link file space, as they're called, which means it gets transferred to an Amazon S3 server in London, which is where we're set up for actual, where the stuff actually lives. Within a couple seconds of him saying that, my virtual drive for Lucid Link on my computer all of a sudden says this folder has appeared.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I click on it, and within 2 or 3 seconds, it starts populating with files. Well, now, none of these files are actually uploaded completely yet from Cape Town to London, but they're starting to show up in my computer. But where it gets really crazy is I could then go to Premiere Pro, go into Media Browser, and import these files that aren't even uploaded to my computer yet. Premiere Pro uploads them just like they're here. I throw a bunch of them on the timeline and start getting playback.
Yep.
It's not even uploaded from South Africa to London, and I'm in Oregon, and I'm getting playback in the file. That is, it's as close to magic as I think we're going to get in my life.
It's voodoo.
Yeah, it's
well, we had a long chat with Peter, who's the CEO of Lucid Link, and he kind of demystified it a little bit. So the data, what happens is the code that they've developed is they take it, a 4 gig file as an example, and they break it right apart into bite-sized chunks, and it then flows up in a stream. Okay, so it's not parallel; it's running behind itself, and it gets to you. But the first byte gets to you in the manner it's supposed to get to you, and then the second and the 100th. So you press play. The first up to 1,000 is now running, and behind it, that 10 million bytes are running behind it. So by the time so it's reconstituted on your machine as it's streaming up to you, and it's really, really great. And I'm surprised it. A lot of, IBM's taken a solid interest in them and so forth. And I think that's the future, because you can now start editing really large format files directly, if you have the bandwidth capacity on your machine without having to even download these things. It's just quite phenomenal. So do you think the future with Adobe, do you think they go without team projects? Neil and I tried to kill team projects, and we actually managed killing team projects when we were testing it. We killed it, really did. Up to the point where they said, okay, we're going to rewrite a lot of stuff, for team projects, and then we got hold of Lucid Link. So do you think that Adobe and other companies, I know that now this so-called proposed acquisition is in place for Frame.io, which would change the game as well. Do you think other NLE companies are set to follow this pathway?
Well, I'm not sure if they follow, but maybe they lead. Like Bebop are doing some crazy stuff for collaborative working through the cloud. So I think we'll see a lot more software and a lot more companies doing fantastic stuff, because the world has woken up now. Collaboration across continents is now a thing.
It's a thing.
And
yes.
people don't have to go to work every day. So I think it's going to just grow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think it's about time, actually.
Yep.
It's really about time.
And we're coming up. It's been 45 minutes. I promised it wasn't going to go as long this week. And so we should probably be wrapping up. I think maybe a good final question, Donnie was asking, I think if I'm understanding the question right, the best books you never finish and reread or continue to engage the mind. So, Jarle, do you have any favorite books? I think that was the gist of the question.
Well, I tend to finish the books. I'm kind of a strange guy there, but if I start reading it, I will finish it. But I can tell you about a book that kind of changed my life when it comes to After Effects, and that was Mark Christensen's book. What's it called? It's a very long title. It's about compositing in After Effects, and it's a fantastic book. So I may find it if I Mark Christensen's.
I'm Googling.
Yeah, so Mark Christensen's book about After Effects. It's a very long title, like Studio Techniques or something. But it's fantastic. He's worked in Hollywood, doing compositing, and he knows this stuff, and it tells you all about maths and key signals and cleaning up and so on, and color correction, everything.
Okay,
so this book is after Adobe After Effects, CC, visual effects and compositing, studio techniques.
There you go.
Okay, you don't read anything for fun, huh? Or maybe that is for fun.
That is for fun. Yes.
I thought he was asking about books on this topic, but I'm a huge consumer of audiobooks. So in Norwegian, then. So I have no idea what their titles are.
Right. Well, what genre? Is there a genre that you really gravitate to for fun?
Well, almost always there's some murder involved. So.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's all coming out.
All right.
Scripting is just a byproduct. Jarle is actually reading these murder horror stories quietly. You see him jacked in with his headphones. He's not scripting, or maybe he is listening to horror, people screaming while he's. We need to find out a little bit more. We need to find out more about this man.
Very different than murder mysteries. Very different.
I guess so. Well, by the way, all the viewers, Jarle's giving away 500 copies of his book. Just kidding. Just
I don't have that. That's a publisher who they have my books. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they won the Making Mogert's book is actually hosted by Adobe, and that one is free. Making Mogert's by Jarle Leirpoll, and that should pop up the Adobe site where that is located, and you just download it onto your device. And it is free, and it's got a ton of usable stuff, and that really is a great primer to get you started in how to make a Mogert in After Effects and add a lot of functionality to it, and then quickly port it out for someone to use it in Premiere Pro. And it's just really a good book, but it is free. So everybody, Making Mogerts by Jarle Leirpoll, download it.
They should know that this was made before we got drop-down menus. So I do everything with sliders. Now you can do lots of the same stuff with drop-down menus, which some people like better. And as well, it was also made before we got image replacement Mogerts. So like I showed, I can drag some videos and images to the Mogert, and it populates the places. That wasn't there when I wrote that. We should actually update that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like we were saying the other day, I don't like PDFs. I like to touch a book and feel it. Yours was the second PDF book that I read from cover to cover, and I went through it all, and it was actually pretty. I can highly recommend it to everyone, from beginners to intermediate to advanced. Naturally, there's some new stuff that's come out, and it's going to continue evolving, and hopefully you come up with a version 2, which is just amendments and additions, to your original book, because that's, to me, the Bible of Mogerts. It's a really great book, and I'm not trying to sell it for you or sell you. I'm just saying it
Yes,
like
you are.
it is. If it was, yeah. Jarle knows why I'm selling it. He knows. But I'm just
No,
kidding. It's great. If I thought it wasn't nice, I'd say, hey, it's not. It's lacking. But
we
it's
don't
got
get
everything.
anything, by the way. Just, I mean, Mo
Yeah,
doesn't
we-
get anything by
I'll
Jarle
send you the
doesn't pay me.
$1,000 later.
We're
so.
just, we just think it's
I'll
genuinely
send you my
great.
PayPal shortly. Oops, are we on air? Are we off air, right? We're live. So,
No, we're
yeah,
still on air. So we probably should say goodbye. Okay?
Yeah.
Are we
I'm
ready
gonna
to wrap
send-
it up?
Bye-bye, people.
I'm going to
Okay,
send you.
everybody wave at once. I gotta take.
I'm going to send you an audio book on romance and not murder. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Bye bye.